Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the Debe Islamic Association's Ramadan Reminders. This year we'll be continuing to look at the Tafseer or explanation of chapter 2, Surah Baqarah, the chapter of the cow. And we'll be looking at the second major theme in this chapter, Allah's knowledge. This follows from last year's series, which was on the first major theme, faith versus disbelief. Today we'll be discussing verses 265 and 266. Since it is the middle 10 days of Ramadan, the days of forgiveness, let's recite the recommended dua for such. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Astaghfirullah Rabbi min kulli dhanbi wa atubu ilayh. I ask forgiveness of my sins from Allah, who is my Lord, and I turn towards Him.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ومثل الذين ينفقون أموالهم ابتغاء مرضات الله وتثبيتا من أنفسهم كمثل جنة بربوة أصابها وابل فآتت أكلها ضعفين فإن لم يصبها وابل فطل والله بما تعملون بصير أيود أحدكم أن تكون له جنة من نخيل وأعناب تجري من تحتها الأنهار له فيها من كل الثمرات وأصابه الكبر وله ذرية ضعفاء فأصابها إعصار فيه نار فاحترقت كذلك يبين الله لكم الآيات لعلكم تتفكرون.
Our objective today in part 18 deals with Ayah 265 and 66, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala shows a comparison between charity versus showing off, and the need for protection of our good deeds. And Allah says, وَمَثَلُ الَّذِينَ يُنْفِقُونَ أَمْوَالُهُمْ وَمَثَلُ, and the example. So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is trying to show us using some sort of case to prove a point to us. And what does the ayah say? الَّذِينَ يُنْفِقُونَ أَمْوَالُهُمْ. And this is similar to a couple of the previous ayahs that we did, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is addressing those who nafaka, those who spend their mal, their wealth. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is referring to those who are giving charity. And what does He say? أُبْتِغَاءَ مَرْضَاتِ اللَّهِ وَتَثْبِيتًا مِّنْ أَنفُسِهِمْ. So Allah is referring to those who have a reason for giving charity. And the reason is Ubtigo'a, seeking the mardatillah, seeking the pleasure of Allah. So that's the reason. So Allah is specifically identifying those who are giving charity in order to seek the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And not just that, He goes on to say, وَتَثْبِيتًا, and assuring with the guarantee, min anfusihim, with the guarantee that they will receive a reward for themselves. They will have full faith that Allah will grant them the best rewards for their righteous acts. When the Nabi ﷺ spoke about something similar, where he says, whoever fasts in Ramadan with faith and expectation, believing that Allah commanded it, and simultaneously all the while awaiting his reward for fasting in it. So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is specifically showing that for those who do righteous acts in order to please Allah and having that expectation of receiving great rewards. And Allah continues the discussion by saying, Kamathali. So that is just like Jannatin, a garden, Birabbawa, a garden which is on high ground, a garden way up in the mountains. Asobaha wabilun. And this garden, which is high up in the mountains, is hit by a heavy downpour of rain. فَأَتَتْ أُكُلَهَا ذِئْفَيْنِ. So the garden produces, it yields its fruits in double the amount as compared to other gardens. And the ayah continues, فَإِلَّمْ يُصِبْهَا وَابِلٌ فَطَلٌّ فَإِلَّمْ يُصِبْهَا وَابِلٌ. And even if it is not hit by a heavy downpour, fatal, then it is hit by drizzle, and the drizzle is sufficient. So it's explained that the garden on the Rabawa, on the height, way above the ground, is always fertile. For if heavy rain does not fall on it, at least light rain will fall on it, and that will suffice for it. That amount of rain will still be enough for it to produce. Such is the case of the believers' good deeds, for they never ever become barren. Rather, Allah accepts the believers' righteous deeds and increases them, each according to his deeds, how much is going to be multiplied by. And the ayah concludes, Wallahu bima ta'maluna basir. Wallahu, and Allah, bima ta'malun, and Allah of what you do is basir, one of the Asma'ul Husna, one of the names, one of the characteristics of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He is al-basir, He is the all-seeing. So Allah is well aware and He sees what you do. So take the opportunity of life, of time, and do good deeds. Plant a tree, feed birds, or feed people. Give shade to others. Make people feel good. And do all these forms of good deeds, even if they are ma'oon, even if they are small deeds. And there will always be reward that comes with it. Because the believers' good deeds are never barren. They are always fertile. So Allah now speaks about an example of evil deeds nullifying good deeds. And He begins as follows. Ayawaddu ahadukum an takuna lahu jannatum min nakhilin wa a'nab. The Alif Fatah suggests that this is a question that Allah is asking. And it goes, Yawaddu ahadukum an takuna lahu. So the question is, would any of you like for it to be for him? So what is this that Allah is asking? He's speaking about Jannatun, a garden. And not just a garden min nakhilin, a garden of palm trees, wa a'nab, and grapevines. So Allah is asking if anyone would like this for them. And this garden, tajri min tahtiha al-anharu lahu, under which rivers flow. Fiha min kulli thamarat, in it fiha min kulli, of all kinds of thamarat, of all kinds of fruits will be in the garden. So Allah is offering, which one of you would like this? And of course we all would. But وَأَصَابَهُ الْكِبْرُ, but he who has the garden is now afflicted with old age. ذُرِّيَّةٌ, and his offspring, ضُعَفَاءُ, are weak. فَأَصَابَهَا إِعْصَارٌ فِيهِ نَارٌ, and this beautiful garden with the date palms and the grapevines is now hit by a whirlwind containing fire. And what happens to it? فَاحْتَرَقَ, and it is burned. So there's an authentic hadith recorded in Sahih Bukhari where Umar bin al-Khattab, the second Caliph, asked the companions of the Messenger, the Sahabas, according to your opinion, about whom was this ayah 266, revealed? And they said, Allah knows best. Umar became angry and said, say we know or we do not know. So Ibn Abbas, who was among those companions, said, O leader of the faithful, I have an opinion about it. So Umar said, O my nephew, say your opinion and do not belittle yourself. So Ibn Abbas said, this is an example set for a deed. And Umar asked, what type of deed? Ibn Abbas said, for a wealthy man who works in Allah's pleasure, and then Allah sends shaitan to him, and he now works in disobedience until he annuls or cancels out all of his good works. So this man annulled his previous good deeds and rewards with his later on evil works. And when he desperately needed the deeds of the former, or the good ones, there were none. That's why Allah said, while he became old, his children are weak and not able to look after themselves. And then he was struck with a whirlwind, destroying everything. So Allah concludes the ayah where he says, كَذَلِكَ يُبَيِّنُ اللَّهُ لَكُمُ الْآيَاتِ لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَفَكَّرُونَ. كَذَلِكَ يُبَيِّنُ اللَّهُ. Thus, Allah makes it clear, lakum, for you. And what does He make clear? Ayah. He makes His verses clear, His proofs, His miracles. لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَفَكَّرُونَ, so that you might give some thought and ponder about it. And in seeking protection from the old age, the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam used to make this supplication. Allahumma ij'al awsa'a rizqika alayya inda kabira sinni wankidwa'i umuri. O Allah, make your biggest provision for me when I am old in age and at the time my life ends. We have now come to the end of part 18, where we looked at charity versus showing off. As we have come to the end of Ruku 36, in part 19 we'll be doing a review of those ayahs from 261 to 66. We now end with the recommended dua. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم. Our Lord, accept this service from us, for indeed you are all hearing, all knowing. Assalamu alaikum